is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Lauren Jacobsen and Dr. Kimberley Barclay. They are the co-founders of American Dental Association's 2019 Design Innovation Award-winning practice, Toothbar. Both doctors are featured on the cover of Dentaltown Magazine this coming April, right?
Mm-hmm.
This upcoming April. Dr. Barclay and Dr. Jacobsen are Platinum Invisalign providers and are active in the dental community as members of CADS, the ADA, Austin Clear Aligners, and the AAFE. Dr. Barclay and Dr. Jacobsen share a unique bond in that they developed a business partnership forged out of a long-standing friendship that began while they met in 2009 in dental school right here at Midwestern University in Glendale, Arizona, just right up the street from here. Having worked alongside one another in a corporate dental setting for several years, Dr. Barclay and Dr. Jacobsen went on to leverage their gained insights and build their own private practice from scratch. In just 2 years since its opening, Toothbar has become Austin's premier dental practice. Founded through a mutual desire to elevate the dental practice experience, there is now a 5-month waiting list for people to wait to be a part of this innovative experience, aesthetics, and dental care experience. The two doctors enjoy living and working in downtown Austin and continue to prove that best friends can start a successful business together. And I must say, as an old man, you look like the Bobbsey twins.
We get that a lot. We actually got that nickname starting in dental school, so I think that's a thing. Yep.
So you guys met in dental school in Glendale, Arizona? That's where you first met?
Yeah, we actually were roommates for 4 years when we attended dental school. We met on the dental school Facebook website, and we both found out that we're not weirdos. Then we decided to live together. That generated and created a friendship, and we've just been friends ever since. So.
Wow, that is amazing. And where were you both born and raised?
Kim has a better story than I do. I'll let her go first.
I'm originally from overseas. I was born in London. And then grew up, kind of traveled around the world. My parents are from Spain, so we traveled a lot and then kind of randomly ended up in the States for high school, and I stayed here ever since. So, yeah, it's great. And then Dr. J is actually from...
Yeah, I grew up in Chicago until I was 13, then lived in Arizona, Ahwatukee, went to Desert Vista.
That's where my 4 boys went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
I graduated in 2005, high school. Then I went to University of Arizona, and I know you're not the biggest fan.
Did you go there because it was free and they just hand out free diplomas?
Well, if I would have gone to ASU, it would have been the same story. So
I love trash talking U of A. There's nothing more delightful. So then these how did you end up in Texas then?
Yeah.
Pretty randomly. We actually came out. It was towards the end of dental school, trying to figure out what to do, and my family didn't live here, and Dr. Jacobsen was, talking about, do a change, move somewhere, and so we came out for South by Southwest Festival, which actually sadly got canceled for the first time due to coronavirus this year, and that's been a pretty big impact on our community. But
what was it called? South by Southwest?
Yes. It's a really great interactive music and tech festival, and kind of all the newest and greatest things come out. Austin's a really big startup community, which is really neat. And we just loved kind of the vibrancy here. Everyone are implants. No one's really from Austin. Everyone comes here, and there's just a really great, inspiring mentality here that we were really attracted to. And so just kind of randomly ended up here.
Yeah.
So what do you guys call each other? I mean, what do you guys call each other? I hear you saying Dr. J or Dr. K, or what are you calling each other? What's your slang?
I always call her Dr. J, and she calls me Dr. B.
Dr. J and Dr. B. Interesting. Well, I really believe every time I meet someone that's really thinks outside the box and really profound, they were moved around a lot as a kid. And I remember meeting Tim and Eric Crown up the street from Ahwatukee. They're the founders of Insight. And I asked them, I said, come on, man, just you and your brother from Iowa, I'm from Kansas. How did you figure this out? And he goes, well, me and my brother were Army brats. And every couple of years, we're in a different country. And we'd sit there in our room thinking, why is this country so different than the last one and the one before? And he said, by the time we got out of high school, we knew macroeconomics, and we figured out the whole thing. And so a lot of people, if they're born in a tribe and they think this is the way it's always been, it's the way it always will, they'll only do what insurance pays, only blah, 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 blah. Like when people tell me that America is the greatest country, I don't even have to ask if they've ever flown across these. I know they haven't. If you, I've lectured in 50 countries. If this is the greatest country, you probably only have taken the bus. How did you, where do you think this vision for this innovative deal? I mean, I think you're the only office booked up 5 months, but I'm going to stop the conversation right now real quick and just switch to coronavirus. If you log on to Dentaltown right now, there's 25 different threads about coronavirus. What does it look like on the ground in Austin, Texas to you two?
For us, partly what we're struggling with is, we're active on exactly what you said, looking at CDC and WHO, and it's really hard. I feel like, to get a consensus of what we should be doing as dental practitioners. Should we only be seeing emergency patients? Should we continue to see our patients? It's a really hard thing, and we haven't really found a solid source. Even just within Austin, there's so much variance. Some offices are saying absolutely close, emergency only. Others are saying, no, just keep going the way you are. Obviously, you always practice universal precautions. Just edit a little bit by asking questions to your patients. And Dr. J can kind of attest to what we're doing now.
Yeah, I think our biggest thing is we've implemented so many extra precautions, like Dr. Barclay was saying, screening, making sure that our staff and patients are always protected. But the frustration from us, and I'm sure that we've been hearing this from all of our other colleagues, not even just in dentistry, but in medicine, there aren't any clear guidelines or direction that we should be taking. I know that, I don't know for Arizona, but Ohio, Louisiana, Virginia, and California now have taken from a state level. And we've just been waiting for Texas to give us proper guidelines. So we're just ensuring.
Waiting from who in Texas to give you proper guidelines?
TDA, I would say.
TDA.
Because I know that the California Dental Association recommended all dental offices.
But first of all, with the American Dental Association, I mean, first of all, a quarter of the dentists aren't even members. And it's a member when you're in Texas where the TDA filed a suit against a dentist who was claiming to be a specialist in implantology, and California at the ADA said, well, that's not even a recognized specialty. And the judge said, go home. You're a membership club. You're not a state authority. Get out of here. And indeed, this guy was practice limited to implantology, and if you're patient-focused, patient-centered, if I had a problem with an implant, I was getting the runaround, I'd want to go to someone who just specializes in implants, regardless if their membership club approved and gave me a sticker or not. But the Health and Human Services, the government, the White House, the governor, I mean, I'm only waiting for that because all these viruses over the years, it started with HIV. I remember in dental school, that changed everything. That's what made us all wear gloves. So we've been gradually increasing universal precautions. And what I don't want at all to hear is that the dentists have to close, but the hospitals can stay open, which further confirms that we're not really doctors. I mean, I was talking to an oral surgeon yesterday, Jay Resnick, and he's in LA, and he's like, dude, I don't have anything elective on my schedule this week. It's pain, infection, abscess, and so so what would be your definition? So where are you at now? Are you thinking of and what is the percentage? Like in Austin, that's where you're at now, Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
How many dentists are there, and how many do you think are not seeing patients or reduced to emergency only?
Yeah, talking to most of our friends right now in the Austin area, they're staying open, which is great. The biggest thing, exactly what you just said, is perfect as far as they're not considering us, especially with our mask shortages. Dentists aren't considered in a lot of those protocols from the government, which is really upsetting. And we are providing patient care, and it's really frustrating. We feel really trapped. For us, our patients actually aren't wanting to cancel. They're still coming in. We thought it would be very different this Monday, to be honest. We're pretty booked out still. If anything, people are actually calling us to come in because they're hoping that we would have cancellations.
Right.
But again, practicing guidelines on there. As far as, we don't have a ton of cases in Austin. I think we have 6 positive cases. And as far as dental offices right now, they're really up in the air. I know that a couple of the big corporate chains have just arbitrarily stated that all of their practices throughout the U.S. should just be emergency only. But again, we are we're clinicians, we're doctors, that is just a really, exactly what you said, a lot of it is not elective. And so we feel really stuck where we are, to be honest. It feels a little bit like a free man's land right now.
You said you heard a big dental chain made an announcement towards that?
Yes, as far as, their practices being closed down. I believe it was Heartland. Was it?
Heartland, I believe, is leaning towards just seeing emergencies only. I know that the big, large group practice in Austin is leaning towards only seeing emergency patients.
Which one's that in Austin?
Rose.
Okay.
Yeah, they're great. And it's really hard because there really are no kind of guidelines on this matter. And it's a lot of other things that we're realizing is that a lot of, dentists are posting, it's, patient-based, we should be canceling. And it's really hard conflicting advice, it feels like, on everything. So I think as dentists, we feel a little bit, lost on there, and we're just continuing to do what's best for our patients, and that's see them and keep practicing what we do and edit that accordingly.
So I know it's just a day by day crazy week, and this is going to go on crazy. Well, let's go back to our regular scheduled programming. Your dental offices don't get booked up 5 months in advance. How did you do that?
Well, to go back to how Kim or Dr. B's been traveling around and pulling from all different areas, similar to your friends, we did that too. We didn't just pull from dental offices and trying to create Toothbar. We pulled from other industries, such as bars, hotels. That's kind of how we created the name. First and foremost is we wanted to take the traditional part of dentistry, hence the tooth, and then the bar, do kind of a modern spin in bringing in just something where people thought of Toothbar as their local hangout or a place that they didn't have this negative stigma to it. So that's kind of where we surveyed our patients when we had worked in that group practice, private, or that corporate dental office that we worked together for 4 years, and use that as an opportunity to pull in kind of what the patients, why they like that dental office and what they wish that dental office was fulfilling or offering for them. So it was really nice just to directly ask patients, okay, what can we do to improve your experience?
And what have you learned? So first of all, let's go back to the journey. It was December 17th. It was a Christmas ago. The American Dental Association announced you guys as winners of their Design Innovation Award. Talk us through that journey. How did you win that award?
Yeah. So we, the ADA, again, they just started this new award, which is great. And people had been talking to us a lot about our practice, and we're building it. And our construction team, our Henry Schein reps have been like, wow, I've never been in anything like this. It is amazing. You guys should apply for, as far as they had a couple of design awards that were not related to dentistry that they recommended we apply for. And so we applied through the ADA actually for this Design Innovation Award. And that's how we got it. As far as kind of our journey on that, our biggest thing, the reason why we created Toothbar, so I know Dr. J touched on it. Her and I worked together at just right upon graduation in a chain dental practice, which was a really good way. I know a lot of times DSOs get a bad rap, but the reality is for us, we saw it as a good thing, and that we got to see how they did some things really, really well and what was lacking. And so took that as a new grad, that's a really good option to kind of get your skills down, to get.
Well, what you had was a great attitude. I mean, I hear this all the time. They're like, oh, I work with this DSO and they're so stupid. I'm like, really? They have 500 locations.
Exactly.
The smartest dentist I know can barely run one. So tell me, young wannabe, it's like, really, they had nothing? And then the smartest ones, they'll work at one of these big DSOs. Then when they leave to go open up their own office, they'll cherry pick the best employee they had. It was like the manager of the whole state, and she just comes in with all the knowledge and everything. But anyway, so you worked for a DSO. What city or where was that at?
I was in Austin, also.
Downtown.
And was can you give the name?
Yeah, it was kind of a big thing. So it was Floss Dental. It was one that started, has a lot of dramatics behind it, but it started off as a good concept. And he was able to grow it pretty rapidly. And so it was a good lesson of definitely what to do and what not to do. And so we left that a few years ago. It was kind of going in a different direction. They got bought out by a different company called Mode Dental. And so it was just a lot of transferring. We're like, you know what, we can do this ourselves. We ended up really lucky in that through all that transition, they got a little bit confused, and in our contract, we ended up not having a non-compete. So we were able to, that's how we ended up opening in downtown Austin, kind of right near our old office, which was definitely a blessing and just absolutely.
So after you living in London, you living in Chicago, you both lived in Phoenix, but you liked Austin better than all that.
Yeah. Well, for me, I moved here. I was going to be here for a year and then moved back to Phoenix. Phoenix gets a bad rap, but I think it's a great city. But Austin kind of sucks you in. So after we moved here, we kind of ended up working together and finding out that so corporate, the DSOs get really bad reps because of the turnover in providers. So for Dr. B and I, we stayed in the same office for 4 years. And with that, we created this sense of ownership. A lot of the patients already thought that we owned it because we were able to have that autonomy to change things. And like I said, survey the patients and kind of test different business techniques or patient experiences and kind of fine tune everything. And again, we just kind of got lucky, but we were able to, with a change in hands in management, make it so that we didn't have a non-compete or a non-solicit. So then that's when we launched our own dental practice. And it wasn't easy to find the location we're in, that's for sure. Downtown Austin doesn't have a lot of existing practices in the central area. We looked into taking over a couple, it didn't work out. We knocked on existing retail stores to see if we could take over their lease. Fortunately, we found this place, fell in love, and it worked out. So it was just an empty shell, and we knew that we had this empty canvas to kind of create exactly what we wanted.
It's really weird on your when I go on Google Maps, it shows where your office is, but it doesn't say that it's in Austin.
That's odd.
Yeah, it should.
Well, definitely should.
Yeah, check that. Do I have your address right? 211 Walter Seaholm Drive, LR 160, Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Sometimes the lower right, like the LR 160, messes things up.
So take that off.
Yeah.
So I'll just take that off.
We're just gonna get on our SEO company for that one.
Yeah, I'll try it again with that LR and. I don't know why that doesn't say Austin, Texas. The reason I am so interested in Austin, Texas is because my 4 out of 5 of my grandchildren live down there by Galveston in Beeville.
Oh,
So,
nice.
they all were born and raised in Ahwatukee, and then Eric met this lovely girl, and I was a little worried because I know what girls do. The minute they get pregnant, they go back wherever they're from. And that about 1.5 hours after she was pregnant, she moved back home, which is best for my grandchildren to be living upstream program. But have you guys even heard of Beeville?
I haven't.
No, I don't.
I've heard of
Is it by Houston? In Houston?
No, it's down by Refugio, Texas, but on the way to Galveston yeah, I'm not sure where it's from. By Corpus, I would say it's on the way.
Okay, that's
Corpus.
a track. Yeah.
So this was great. So you got a job at a DSO. Were there for 4 years and didn't have the turnover. Let's go back to the turnover. Why do you think DSOs are plagued with turnover?
Yeah, great question. So one of the things with working in that corporate setting, we realized that DSOs don't put any value in the people, the providers, the assistants, the staff. That is what makes or breaks the experience. With dentistry, to this day, it's still the most important thing is gaining trust from your patient. I read this article about intraoral cameras being excellent and they're doing all these things, but they again surveyed the patients and they realized that patients didn't care about seeing the intraoral photo. It was about, did they trust that person showing them the intraoral photo? And so for us, we know we need to invest in our staff. And with that, as associates underneath that umbrella, we still were able to bonus them or take them out or provide them parties or have team trips, team building. And because we did that and invested in our employees and also not having a non-solicit or non-compete, we brought over a couple of those in Toothbar, and they're still with us today. We've been practicing with them for 7+ years, and they're just our right-hand man. So people experience is, the best,
Yeah.
I think, with that.
And I think a lot of DSOs also, it's tough because the people that are kind of making the big decisions aren't physically in the office with you every day. So if you're a doctor complaining about something with an assistant, they'll say, oh, we'll just let him go, not realizing that it's someone that you should really be investing in. Also, as doctors, you don't really have the opportunity to have too much say in whether or not they should get raises if you're not owning the practice. So I think just that, and a lot of the managing companies, they aren't necessarily doctors either. They're not dentists, they're number guys. They're accountants. They're just looking at the numbers and they're saying, well, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't look good. Get rid of them, get someone new.
Yeah, if you're not a doctor, you might be confused. You might think that staph is a staph infection. And they might know the difference between staph and staphylococcus. But yeah, it greatly concerns me because when you're at my age and you're 4 perfect boys from Ahwatukee, Desert Vista, have now turned into 6 grandchildren. And you realize that when you pass on, I don't want my grandchildren to go to a dentist that's ran by an MBA who's saying, hey, today we have 30 patients coming in that have 75 fillings. That's a lot of crown opportunities. Let's see if we can upsell. If the dentist do whatever the insurance companies say, then where's my grandchildren going to go when they need a dentist? You need to be a dentist, and you look at the greatest companies like car companies or whatever. It was, the person who started the company actually with his hands made the product. And now, look at Boeing. That's a classic example. Boeing's headquarters is in Chicago. They assemble the whole thing in Seattle. They make the fuselage in Wichita, Kansas, and the planes are falling out of the sky everywhere. As opposed to Mr. Honda, read his autobiography. When the line shut down, a siren went off, and one time it went down the middle of the night. He forgot he slept in his birthday suit, and he ran all the way to the line, butt naked, working it to get it back up. And it wasn't until an hour later, everything's back up and running, that he realized, oh my God, I'm completely naked at 1 o'clock in the morning. But they live there like a city. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think dentistry is going to go down a horrible direction when it becomes fast food owned by MBAs from Wall Street.
Yeah, that's unfortunately something that could happen. But I also know, like, our colleagues, they really do care. They're starting to do group practices. And I'm really big. I love Melinda Gates. And I think that's a great portrayal of how she takes such a great idea, but you have to have the human factor involved. And I think
you're talking about Bill and Melinda Gates?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So she takes all of his ideas and they're like, it's not going to work because of X, Y, and Z, because of the human factor. And so I think that's really what DSOs are missing. And that kind of goes along with our future plans, but we can talk about that later.
Well, first of all, define your business model succinctly so that people understand what it is exactly the Toothbar is doing. What is your business model?
Yeah, so our kind of a big thing with creating Toothbar. So our whole idea was, we'd have people all the time when they say, oh, what do you do for a living? Say, I'm a dentist. And they would say, like, oh, no offense, but I hate going to the dentist. And everyone can say they've heard that. So our whole point was, okay, how are we changing that concept? At the end of the day, people want, and one of the most important things that they do want not a perfect smile, but they want a confident smile. And so there's a lot of room in dentistry to make dentistry more of like a appealing service. And we think back to like a little bit like dermatology, for example. They've done a really good job of combining the aesthetics with health. And so, people don't just go to the dermatologist for a mole. They go there because they want their skin to look better. So that was kind of our idea with Toothbar, was we want to maintain the dental aspect, but we also want to add things to it. So one thing that we created at Toothbar, we're a general dentist, a cosmetic dentist. We do everything. We refer a lot of things out too. We're not big on molar endo and wisdom teeth extractions, but we do a ton of Invisalign, a lot of veneers, bread and butter dentistry. One thing that we did add to our office is something that we call the Toothbar Lounge. So the lounge is kind of all of the parts that people like about going to the dentist without being at the dentist. So we had a lot of patients that would get their 6-month cleanings and be like, I wish I could get these more frequently, but I just don't want, the x-ray exam, all the things. So we offer we have a menu of services. One of them is called the detox, which is where the patient comes in and we do a polish, quick little scale, floss and a shot of mouthwash. And it gives them that like slimy feeling after they got their teeth cleaned, and they can do that whenever they want. It's $45. They just come in and let us know, and that's without seeing a dentist. And that's for us, the way that we, maintain it. So it's not someone that hasn't been here for 10 years and they say, I just want a detox, is they have to be an existing patient in order to receive that.
And keep up with their cleanings.
Yeah. And then we have other kind of little random things. Another thing we have is called the happy hour, which is we have a part of our office that has like a little bar area with teeth whitening chairs, and patients can reserve that for, Austin has like a lot of bachelorette parties and things like that. So they can reserve the area for a teeth whitening party with their friends, which is really fun. They have their own music. They can, again, whiten their teeth. And it's kind of making dentistry a little bit more, up to date and a little bit, more attractive and kind of more all the fun parts of it, making dentistry less like, oh, you're a dentist. It's like, wow, you're a dentist. Kind of that aspect.
So, forgive me, I'm a short, fat, old, bald man, but it sounds like a lot of what you're saying would relate more to women who are used to getting their hair and nails and spa. Am I following?
Not at all. Not at all. Weirdly enough, actually, most of our whitenings and our detox, especially, is men. Mm-hmm. A lot of them will say, they're downtowners, so they'll say like if they have a job interview or something like that, or a first date. Our patients here are definitely, it's a Austin downtown's an amazing crew. It's definitely awesome. Maybe a little more millennial. They're successful. They're working at Google, Facebook. They're big on efficiency, and that's kind of what they value. And that was our important thing about Toothbar. It's not for everyone. It's really important to understand when you're building a practice, like who you're building it for. And that's our big thing, is we were thinking about who's our demographic, who are we appealing to? And that's the group that we're appealing to, is young professionals that really value a smile and they want to figure out ways to enhance it. And that's kind of what we came up with Toothbar for.
So does that affect price too? Like if you went back to GM, they had Chevy, a little more Pontiac, Olds, Buick, mm-hmm. Cadillac. Does what you're doing, is that higher cost like Mercedes, or is it still low cost enough where you take PPOs and Delta Dental?
No, we're pretty competitive. Yeah, we take PPOs, not all of them, but a select few, especially so our location, we're surrounded by several condominiums, residencies, the Google building, the Facebook building, and they have insurance. We accept their insurance. We're in network with their insurance because we care about the patients. We know that, yes, would we love to be fee for service? Everybody would, but what we want to do is provide them with the best care, but then also the option to find that they're confident in their smile and that they don't have to abide by their insurance every 6 months. Oh, I can only get a cleaning then. Nope. We provided you this opportunity to get a cleaning whenever you would like. And we're going to be here if you want a reprieve from work, or just a happy hour, or a gathering with your friends. So again, we know kind of what our clientele is, and designed our office with that too. So again, stemming from, we hate going to the dentist. Yes, we provided services that kind of curtail that and change their mindset and the stigma, but we also created the actual design of the office. So we wanted to appeal to the senses differently. What they see, we have floor to ceiling windows. Our walls are 15 feet high. It's an open concept. No one feels claustrophobic. We also have TVs that go overhead. They can watch Netflix. What they're hearing, people hate the noise of the Cavitron. They actually sometimes think that it's a drill. We're like, no. The hygienist is not allowed to drill your tooth. Sorry. So we have Bose headsets. We have Sonos in every room that they can listen to their own music. Also provides HIPAA compliance, of course. And then the smell. So we kind of mentioned earlier that we pull from different industries. When you walk into a hotel, some of them have a distinct smell that you associate with that. Well, what we did is we asked what type of company they use and work with. In Air Aroma, we put different types of scents in our HVAC. And so when people come into our office, not only are they seeing and hearing nothing like a dental office, they're smelling something that is clean and fresh. And so it's just all those little things that I think prove to the patients that with every step of the way, we've taken into consideration what the best appointment and best experience that we can give to them.
Have you met Michael Dell? Dell Computers down there is a really big thing. Have you met him?
No, but she's met his brother.
I got LASIK from his brother a couple years ago. He looks exactly like him. He's his twin. It's very weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but did you know his dad was an orthodontist?
Dentist. Yeah.
Orthodontist.
Actually, one of our patients, that was his old dentist, and he says, yeah, he had his like retainers or something in his office, apparently.
It was so fun. His dad, I'll never forget it. I think it was like 1990 as a TDA, and he was telling the story about how, his kid Michael came home from school, and he was done. He said, I met all my teachers are idiots, and I'm going to start this business in the garage. And Alexander said that him and his wife cried that night. I mean, they didn't know what they were going to do with this crazy son who was smarter than his college professors and moved out of school. But I just love entrepreneurs because I can tell by everything that you're doing and everything I'm watching, I just know that underneath all of this is two very hard-working people that know how to work and hustle.
Yeah.
Would you say your work ethic is higher than your peers?
We don't like to compare.
No, we're always on, I think, is part of it. Like her and I are very yin and yang, and that's why we work really well together. And everything, like I never look at, this is why I love dentistry, and this is something, especially for dental students. You go into dental school, like, I'm going to be the best dentist. It's amazing. And the reality is the incredible thing about dentistry is there's so many avenues you can take with it. Being a dentist is such a small facet. For me, I love the branding and the marketing aspects. Dr. J is a huge fan of numbers
operations.
She's our operations gal. So you can really take dentistry into any avenue that you want to do. And it's such an incredible opportunity. And that's what I think, in dental school, we were, always did really well, but I was never necessarily number one. And so you can realize that you can be an incredible dentist, but you can also bring other attributes and create your own role of what you want to do.
I think also just really kind of knowing your strengths and weaknesses, and with the experience and kind of the road that Dr. B and I have taken, they've highlighted and unbeknownst to us, like, I'm pointing out her strengths. She did the artwork in our front office lobby, and it's incredible. And my stick figures look weird. So I'm like, hey, you're going to do this Venetian plaster thing outside of the office because you did the first one, and now our floors are covered in it. So it just like, we're still friends after that. So that's good. But just certain things like that, just knowing yourself and trusting your gut. And also the reason why we work so well is, like, yes, we're very different, but we're also very competitive. So that keeps you on your toes. And I think when you asked, do we work really hard? Yes, individually, deep down inside, we want to work really hard, but also, like, we don't want the other one to work harder than each other, so we try to, like, beat each other out. I think that's another thing.
Let's talk about, you can't have up and there's not down. There's no such thing as on if there's not off. I mean, everything has an inversion. Additions followed by subtraction, multiplication by division. Yeah. So everybody knows the pros of getting married and love and children, or having a business partner. So now there's two of us, and 1 + 1 = 3, and I don't have to wear all the hats. And then there's a dark side: divorce, breakup. How do you what happens when you guys hit a wall? I mean, I assume by watching you guys that it's rock, paper, scissors. Is that what it is? Is it rock? But what do you do when say someone wants to get a Perry, starts doing Lanap, and the other one wants to do CAD Cam, and and you're just at opposing ends of a spectrum and it's just not working.
Yeah.
We definitely have those moments. Absolutely. We're different in that way. And I'm really immediate. Like I'll get frustrated right away, or I just want something done right away. Whereas Dr. J is a lot more, she sits back. She's like a silent killer, like a snake that then will come out and will get you when she's ready. So that happens in the best possible way, the best incredible way. And so we have had those moments, but I think as far as resolving them,
so we like finish each other's sentences, blah, blah, blah. We get into heated discussions, but I think having the same solid values and purpose and mindset that this is what we ultimately want to accomplish. Another thing, just with any relationship, we've realized that you can either go to gain power or you can gain connection. It sounds like very weird, hoaxy pokesy stuff, but I think that's been really solid for us getting through this startup, essentially, because our dental practice, we started with nothing. We'll be 2 years in April, and we're already almost maxed out. So,
and what does maxed out mean? How many operatories?
So we have eight operatories total, plus 3 whitening chairs. They thought we were crazy for fitting out 6 full chairs when we first began. We had 2 ops open. We fit those out, built those out. What was it, September, October, and filled them in a second. So,
but how do you think you filled them in a second? Was it great marketing, or was it word of mouth referral? Where are all these people coming from?
Yeah, word of mouth was definitely a huge thing for us. A lot of the neat thing, I mean, especially here, is a lot of, for example, Facebook, they have a online database with their Slack messaging where when someone moves there to Austin, they'll say, hey, do you recommend a dentist? And then our patients are writing Toothbar on there, which is great. So a lot of it is definitely internal referrals. Mm-hmm. Our location is one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
It's right in the heart of downtown Austin. You can see it from a lot of different corners. You see the name Toothbar. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will come in and say, like, what is this? And then we say dental office, and you see their face go like, oh, they were hoping it was a bar.
Yeah.
But they stay. So creating something that people can talk about and have an experience with has been a huge part of it.
So what we did too, our location's huge, as she was touching upon. We have a ton of foot traffic. We're by Trader Joe's. We're by several restaurants. We're at the heart of Austin. There's this huge grassy knoll that people come with their families, their dogs. And then also what we did, because we knew this location was absolutely knew we needed to have it. Our rent's a little high, so we took a portion of that and put it into our marketing budget so that it evened out for us. We don't have a referral program. We've kind of talked about several. Right now, it's not something that we need. And plus, we haven't heard of any referral programs that we've really fallen in love with. But definitely referrals and walk-bys. The name is a conversation starter. It's actually just like during South by Southwest, which is that big music festival. People come in and ask for a drink, and we're like, well, we can't give you one unless you're a patient. Sorry. So then they sign up for an appointment. So that works too. No, just kidding.
Now, most people, so again, where did the name come from?
Yeah.
We're just kind of talking about, again, our whole philosophy was combining kind of traditional dentistry with kind of a new flair. So that was kind of the tooth part was the traditional dentistry. And then the bar part was meant to be kind of the newer spin on it. So Toothbar was her and I honestly just one day talking about things. We'd ask people like, what do you think about Toothbar? And I still remember my parents told me that tooth is a really ugly word, Kimberly. No one's going to want to go somewhere called tooth.
Well, I'm going to one up you and change my dental office to tooth weed. I think alcohol was old school. Should I call it tooth hemp weed or just tooth weed?
Yeah, then we'll do tooth vape.
Tooth vape.
Keep going.
So, I'm going to talk about something. It's so strange for almost all dentists to think of someone going downtown. I mean, when you look at the 211,000 dentists in America, none of them are downtown. They're all in the suburbs or rural. It's probably the furthest thing from their mind. Why did you not be normal and go to the suburbs in a medical dental building like you were supposed to? Where did you get this attraction to downtown and foot traffic? I mean, you could have a million conversations with a dentist and never hear the word foot traffic.
Right. Yeah.
We had, and that was again with Toothbar. I think that was part of why we created it. So we have already so many incredible dentists in the suburbs around here, and they're, why break what isn't broken. And our whole idea was there's this huge group of people that are working right here, and they don't want to be on their way home. They don't want to be going to the dentist. It's something that they love the excuse to leave work for. Okay. And like Dr. J was saying earlier, when we worked at our last practice, we'd ask patients, like, oh, I love coming here because I get to escape work for a couple hours. So what a better way of doing that than doing it in the heart of, downtown in a city. The nice thing about it too, is we've noticed a lot now, more, lightning pop-up bars, things like that coming up. And so we had already kind of developed that a little bit in our office. And that's kind of what we wanted to see grow is, hey, do these people that are walking by, will they want to come in and just do something to kind of accessorize their teeth, make them look a little better, or are they kind of our patients that we're going to have for the next 10 years? So we're fortunate in their office, we have a mixture of both. Mm-hmm. And so our lounge at Toothbar is kind of the newer foot traffic that maybe already have a dentist versus our dental office, which is Toothbar itself. So
you have eight operatories, 3 whitening chairs.
Yes.
And just you two are the only dentist providers?
Yeah, currently.
Yeah.
And how many hygienists?
3.
3 hygienists?
2 part-time. Yeah.
And, but I can just tell everything you've done. You've got bigger dreams than this. I have a feeling this is like a baby prototype. This is just like a little tadpole swimming down the pond. What's going on between those amazing minds of yours?
Yeah, so in Dental Economist, there was this big article about IDSOs, invisible DSOs. And being in Arizona, you're the number one, you have the highest percentage of DSOs right now. So welcoming in all licensure, I'm sure that's only going to increase. I don't know how that's going to impact you guys. I mean, Texas is third on that list of highest percentage of DSOs. So for us, we know that what we're good at is the branding, the people experience. Yes, we're combining the dentistry, but we're also putting more emphasis on the experience for the patient. And so what we kind of want to do a twist on that is more of a visible DSO, or basically a partnership. We want to help practices eventually, probably in the future. We're looking into it. But if we do something that's bigger than just this particular practice, is provide partnership and support for all of the visible portions of a dental practice. A lot of people are fearful in starting a practice. Yes, I had Dr. B to lean on. If people have us to lean on, that's going to open up a lot more doors. Yes, would we provide the invisible parts of owning a practice? We haven't worked out those details. If anything, we would provide a list of vendors or representatives that they can reach out to. The reason why we work now with, just kind of going on a tangent, is Zen Supply is from one of the podcasts I saw you do with him.
With who?
Zen Supply. Tiger.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, love him. We needed a procurement software. We were like, our one office needs to get organized. So we did that, and that's something that we would end up providing for them. But to focus mainly on the visible portion of a partnership, we would help them with the name, the branding, the flow of their scheduling, the flow of a new patient appointment. We're really big on same-day treatment. And that has a lot to do with our patient clientele, yes. So we would help them focus in on, again, going back, surveying their clientele, the location, and seeing what kind of needs and desires that specific practice could fulfill. And we'd go alongside them and help them out with that. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're thinking.
So you guys graduated, what, 2009? Or what year did you say?
From 2013 dental school.
Okay, 2013, and this is 2020, so 7 years ago. A lot of people wonder, they're always wondering what's the difference between a baby boomer like me and a millennial like you, or a boy or a girl or whatever. A lot of people are throwing around that millennials don't want to be owner operators. They're they just want an 8 to 5 job, and a lot of them say that women are even more like that. And that's what a lot of boomers think. And I know that you don't, I don't know if you're sitting there thinking, okay, boomer, and I'm sitting there saying, okay, Karen. But you're closer to, the dental school. Do you think, what percent of the class looks at what you're doing today in dental school and says, yeah, I want to be like them when I grow up? Versus what percent say, oh my God, I would never, that's exhausting. I just want an 8 to 5 job at Heartland.
So that's part of why we came up with the idea. We call it we've had a lot of actually dentists reach out to us that have asked like, oh, do you have a franchise? Can we be a part of that? And so our idea is we don't want to do that necessarily. We want to give people just the confidence to exactly what you just said. They kind of think they may want to open their own practice. They have their own spin on it, but they just really don't know the direction to do that. So that was kind of our idea of having, we call it the Toothbar toolbox. We don't know if it's maybe like basically branding in a box or something like that to give people the confidence to do that. The other nice thing, which is, again, exactly what you said, commenting on like women in dentistry, it is tough. Obviously you want a family, you want to kind of take time for that, figuring out a way to make that happen. So for us, we're fortunate it's 2 female doctors. We'll be bringing on another doctor, actually, it's also a female, figuring out ways to make that work in life. Maybe that means, you're all part-time working in unison. It's really big about finding the right people for that. And I think that it's a newer way of thinking of doing it. I think a lot of us think traditionally your dental practice, it's your last name. Mine would be Dr. Barclay, my son's going to run it. That's just how it is, versus kind of a new fluid way, which is the name is Toothbar. It really could be any dentist. And as long as we're maintaining that same level of professionalism and who we are, it's, I think, a lot more appealing, maybe. It seems a little less intimidating for people to be able to be a part of that. And that's another way. It's kind of like a modern take on a DSO in that, it's more personalized, but it's also a private practice, which is what we love. And I think that allows people a little more room to have their life. And even with everything going on now with coronavirus, we see all of our patients are just, oh, it's so nice to work from home. And I see some of our staff be like, oh, that would be nice too. So you're completely right. And it sounds like a lot to take on to just have your own practice, but that's kind of our way of being able to do that, is with the idea of this Toothbar toolbox. That's kind of a way for other people to have their own practice too.
And when are you coming out with the Toothbar toolbox?
That's kind of the great question. Our next,
within a year.
Yeah, it's our 12-month plan. So that's kind of our goal on there. And other ideas is even just looking into kind of the idea of, is concierge dentistry something, whether that be maybe teeth whitening, kind of looking at trends of things and seeing which way that goes. And this definitely isn't like our last project. It's really fun. I love that we're able to combine dentistry and just all of our exciting passions together and creating things, which is really great. And that's why dentistry is so amazing.
So a lot of the kids that come out of school, they're really bummed that they had so much student loans. But then they go out and it gets even worse because there's a lot of expensive stuff. Did you guys buy a $140,000 CAD cam, $100,000 CBCT, $100,000 BioLace laser? Did you make any big technology purchases to do what you're doing?
iTero.
Yeah, we picked what we do a lot. So we're myself and Dr. J, we're Invisalign Platinum providers. So for that, Invisalign's a huge part of our practice. So
have you met Joseph?
Which Joseph?
The CEO of Align Technology?
We did at
yeah, we did. We went to the Invisalign conference in October.
Yeah,
it was great.
And where was that at?
It was in Vegas, Las Vegas.
He's awesome in that, again, his mindset is definitely not just a dental approach, which is really interesting. And that's I'm really excited to see where the company's going with everything. And so we love our iTero. That's kind of our big thing.
Wow. Yeah.
We've used CAD CAM in the past, that's not really kind of what we've done. Our patients are pretty happy with honestly sending it out to the lab. So we scan everything. That's our biggest thing.
Okay, so let's stop there. So you bought the iTero. So Invisalign's a big thing for you, and so Invisalign and iTero are both owned by Align Technology. And so why did you like iTero? Because you really loved Invisalign, and that was their scanner.
Yeah, initially, yeah, and then we tried other scanners, and I feel that iTero is very operator friendly. And they have software updates all the time. Our Invisalign rep is incredible. She's constantly on board. She's keeping us up to date weekly. She gets us involved with Galler or Molus. We're doing CE, and we actually bought our second iTero, like a year into it. So all of our staff, we even just joke around and have like a game to see who could scan the fastest. So our assistants and our hygienists, everyone in the office knows how to scan.
Yeah, with regards to scanners and things like that, especially, I always thought a lot of things that you do in dental school, you think that's what you're going to do. We learned on E4Ds, which with powder and a pedal, I think that maybe scarred us a little bit. But it's really interesting once you get out into the real world for, dental students, is you really do change a lot of things that you realize that you like. And so some things are bread and butter, it was like for restorative Garrison, we've always loved that. That's what we still use today.
What did you think? Are you guys doing any CAD CAM?
No, we didn't really.
Because Align Technology, they just bought global dental CAD CAM software leader ExoCAD. ExoCAD's restorative expertise in dental CAD CAM solutions broaden and strengthen Align's digital dentistry platform. What did you think of that when you heard the news?
Well, so now we're able to mark our margin before just like a CAD CAM with all of our crown preps that we're scanning with iTero. I think the more tools that we're able to use and provide and communicate with our labs, the better. We love it. I think Align I was listening to one of your podcasts with an orthodontist, and y'all were talking about Smile Direct Club. And right now, I think the best thing that you guys had talked about is that there's a common energy and there's an awareness with the patients. The patients now want to be scanned. They want to look at their 3D model. I know Invisalign is now coming out with that website that you can show them their new smile on their whole face, their profile. And that allows us to kind of set expectations and give them more of a visual. So I love it. The more partnerships they have, the better. I
think also for us, the advent of, having, in-house, it's really just bringing the lab in-house. It's not necessarily for us saving a ton of time. I think if we had maybe a tech that was specializing just that would be a different tale. But for us, our patients don't have an issue again with us sending things out to the lab. So that's why for us right now, I don't think the technology is there. It's really just moving our lab to be in the office. And especially now with one of the Smile design courses, kind of seeing there's so many avenues with everything, which is really interesting to see.
Well, also with a dental school student coming out, you don't have to be an expert in everything. And I think that's what we really honed in on when we built our practice too, is we realized we need to surround ourselves with experts and ask a ton of questions and get to the bottom of it and go with your gut. But at the end of the day, unless we have a lab tech, like Dr. B said, in-house, we're not experts at crown margins. And so I just want them to produce, and with 3D printing. And I want the lab to give me the best crown that's going to last 20 plus years for every patient.
Oh, and I can assure you that every 5 years that is the half-life of dentistry. I mean, when I got out of dental school, the big thing was replacing amalgams with composite and gold crowns with the PFM. And now it's 32 years later, and I got to see the birth and death of the PFM. I mean, no one saw zirconium. When I left school, I didn't have a computer, a laptop, or a cell phone. And it's just it's amazing. I mean, you're down there in Austin, you see Dell, you see these high tech companies. I mean, some of the economists are saying that by 2050, 2040. 1/3 of Americans will work in an industry that hasn't been invented yet. I mean, it's crazy times.
Yeah.
So what do you what are you most passionate about now? What are you, now that you've been out of school? What is it? 7 years. 2013 is 7 years out. What are you passionate about today? How do you see it today?
I want to go first.
Yeah. I think, with regards to dentistry, for me, we've talked about it a bunch. Invisalign is something that I'm really excited about. I was not a fan of orthodontics in the slightest in dental school. What I've really enjoyed seeing is really just specializing it towards what the patient wants. And I've realized that not everything has to be, if they have a posterior crossbite and they're 45 years old, it's never been an issue. They're not wearing down their dentition. That's not something you have to fix. And I think if their concern is just the fact they have some crooked teeth on the bottom front, aligning those. The other thing definitely I mean, here just with just everything with new ceramics is really exciting. We do a ton of veneers. That's one of my favorite things also, just really conservative preps and things like that, and using that in conjunction with it. And then again, just most of all, honestly, it's kind of the exciting extra parts of dentistry that I love. We started incorporating, we did, of course, through the American Academy of Facial Aesthetics, incorporating botulinum toxin into our TMJ treatments, which has been a life changer for a lot of our patients who are clenchers. And so I love the extra stuff that dentistry has to offer now. I think just discovering new avenues is really, really my passion right now on there.
Invisalign. I love it. I'm addicted. We're study club members of Austin Aligners. Dr. Robin Bethel, we're in a Facebook group, constantly up to date with all that stuff. And then really just the challenge of working with a downtown, very intelligent patient base. They are keeping us on our toes all the time. With all the do-it-yourself from home whitening kits, all the products available. I really enjoy that challenge that they provide to us and our staff, constantly telling us that they can do this and this is a better ingredient. And there's so much information out there, but for us, we need to stay on top of our game, and our patients force us to do that. And I love that challenge.
Okay, so you're in this you're in this big aligners club, and it's what you call it, Austin Aligners.
Austin Aligners. Yeah.
And so what did that group think of Smiles Direct Club?
They love it. It's bringing about awareness. There's more people talking about clear aligners right now than there ever has been in the entire nation, world, nonetheless.
Did you not get the talking points from the American Association of Orthodontics? You're supposed to. Well, it's so funny because there's some, it's so funny. Like, if you ask anybody with a PhD in history or economics, well, what made America have only 5% of the population and almost a quarter of the GDP? They'll say, well, it was 500 years of immigration and free enterprise. And then you say, oh, okay, so can we open back up the Statue of Liberty and open up free immigration again? No. And then I'll say, why do you think prices are so great? Because of competition. So isn't Smiles Direct Club competition? Isn't that a good thing? Well, competition's for other people. It's not for my industry. Right. I mean, so when you use the lawyers and the government to keep away competition with trade embargoes and barriers or closing them down, you just get fatter and slower, and then your industry dies faster. The only way you're ever going to win the heavyweight championship of the world is to keep training every single day and stay in shape, and staying on top of your game isn't a silver bullet, it's a silver shotgun approach. All these little things is why you're successful, not just one thing. Like, I bet you guys are hardworking and hustle and fearless and, relentless. That's a big part of the soup. And I think orthodontics at 6,500, there's not even 5% of Americans that wear braces right now. So when they came out with a 2,500, that's going to explode the market. And then when you look at the fact that every time one person gets braces, a half person will get them again a second time. So if all these people come in at a low cost 2,500, half of those are going to come back in at a higher cost and want to touch up more Invisalign. And so I love how you could see the big picture, as that's
Absolutely.
Just amazing.
Oh yeah, and the amount of money they spend. I mean, they're the ones spending money on it. It's great. They're spending billions of dollars. I mean, on this stuff. It's great, and they're just making it more aware. And then we use it as a chance to, because patients will ask us about it, and we never bash them. We just say, that is something you do at home. However, if you do it with us, we always add extra. So for our Invisalign treatment, we always include enameloplasty, so we'll always smooth out the teeth. That's something they can't get at home. We'll include an in-office 1-hour teeth whitening. That's something they can't get at home. So adding incentives to make them want to do it with you. And then also hearing what they say. I'll ask them what they like about it. And a lot of times they'll say, oh, I like that I don't have to come in all the time. I'll be like, well, actually, if you do it with us, you'll just come in for your scan visit. And then you'll just come in. If you're doing a great job, you can just come in at the end of your treatment. You can send us, we have text messaging service through Weave where patients can text us photos of what their aligners are looking like. just so we can stay on top of it. So any excuse they have, you can figure out an answer for, which is great. So
if I surveyed 100 dentists and I said, what stresses you out the most? It's always going to come from people, either his own team or her own patients. Any advice to people right now struggling leading their team or struggling dealing with patients, or any human advice you can give on leading and working with patients?
Good question. So now that we are owners, we invested in a really good office manager. She's a manager. She is a person that will check in with us if there's any difficulties or conflicts with staff, and she takes care of that so that we can focus in on patient care and working on the overall practice. That has been the biggest game changer for us. You need someone who is really good at that. And that was one of the things that we knew that wasn't one of our strengths, nor do we have the time. If we have our hands in someone's mouth, I can't be making sure that my assistant's not on their phone or not getting the patient back on time, et cetera, et cetera. And also we wanted them to know that we're the owners. So and as females, unfortunately, that's something that we combat a little bit in our practice.
What do you mean? What do you mean? As females, you combat what?
Gaining respect from staff, and just having them know that we're the owner, we're your boss. And that was also an obstacle that we had to overcome in bringing a couple of staff members from our previous office that we weren't owners, we were associates. So that transition took a bit as well.
And a lot of times, especially when you're in a DSO, you can put the blame on management, like, it's their fault. So that's kind of the mentality. We had that camaraderie, and then bringing it to our own. We are the management. Like, we're the ones that sign the paychecks. That's us. And it is really awkward to have a conversation with someone and then put on your doctor hat and have to sit opposite them as your assistant and having to be around a patient. It is a really tough thing to juggle. So exactly what Jay said, invest in a manager that can take that part off of you. So
Now, when you say invest, did she have a lot of experience in dentistry?
A lot.
She came from
she was a dental assistant starting out. So that's another tidbit. All of our staff is cross-trained. If you don't have someone working in the front that hasn't worked in the back, I think it can work, but we've seen it not work, and now it's very successful.
And then there's major companies like Patterson, who, when they needed a new CEO, got someone that wasn't even in dentistry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're just like, okay, the only thing I can think of is you're wrapping this up to repurchase it, to sell it to Amazon, or what? He obviously had some skill that had nothing to do with dentistry. It's just but then I can do the flip side. You look at Aspen, who is crushing it in their call centers. They will not hire you if you have dental experience in their call center, because it's harder to untrain your bad habits, because they're going for a close. How much is a crown? And they're trying to close the sell, but everybody that comes from dentistry just wants to talk on the phone for an hour and give you free dental advice so
it is
interesting what you're going for.
Yeah, and it's interesting seeing we're noticing a lot of tech companies getting into dentistry, exactly what you said, just for CEOs of companies, or even just, we notice a lot of the patient acquisition software, they're all just tech companies, or even the whitening products. A lot of them, they say they're just marketing companies, and they'll tell that to us. And I think we're losing a lot of the aspect of the expert. A lot of people see the attraction of dentistry and numbers and potential. So I think a combination of both is really important. You got to be the dentist, but also with that mind of, an entrepreneur is a really good mixture. And so I think bringing back to the expert is really, really important.
But back to your dental school class, or the modern dental schools right now. What percent of a modern dental school class would consider themselves entrepreneurs, as opposed to science, microbiologists?
I think our school that we came from, Midwestern, really put an emphasis on private practice. And that was how our curriculum was set up. So a lot of our classmates own at least one practice, are working in private practice. A lot of them went into specialty and So I can't speak for the general population of dental students, but I think for Midwestern, at least half.
And it's interesting. I think schools are getting reputations for that. I think Midwestern is very geared towards becoming a independent, private practice practitioner. And with that, we had production models. We would get bonus based on production. We'd be running 2 ops at a time, which was nice. So day one, when we graduated, we felt really confident. But then, look at maybe Harvard, where there it's more geared towards research and science. And that's where you're going to get a lot of those doctors, which is incredible. So I think schools are getting a little bit of reputation for what they are, which is interesting. And as a dental student, just something to definitely be aware of. Also, what kind of doctor you think you want to be is maybe where to go also. So if, you want to be more entrepreneurial, maybe that's Midwestern versus.
Was Becky Cecil one of your teachers?
Cecil. Do we have Cecil?
Becky Cecil?
No,
it doesn't ring a bell.
Maybe you're before her. But you grew up in Ahwatukee. Did you even ever see Today's Dental when you were growing up in Ahwatukee?
Today's Dental. So my neighbor was Dr. Stacy's Vittle. So I was just focusing on her. Yeah. Wow. So that's pretty much the reason why I'm a dentist. I love her. So she opened up her practice where she's currently practicing when I was in high school. And so I would help her out. I'll never forget. She demoted me. I helped her out with the high-speed suction one time when her assistant was out. And I think I made the tongue bleed because I suctioned it too much. So she demoted me to sterilization. But she's so great. Yeah. So I have mad respect for assistants. That suction is not easy to control.
That is great. There's a lot of kids that are dentists now from that neighborhood. Do you know Kristen Mayorga?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, she's a dentist because she grew up next to my buddy Tom Mattern, and she lived across the street from him, and just living across the street from him. And now she's a dentist. I mean, that is.
I need to reach out to her. That's such a small world.
Dental hub.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and there's it's so cool. So before I let you go, there's a lot of kids in dental school. And this is March, and they get out in May, and they're all scared. And animals, the biosphere is you're either predator or prey, and sometimes you're confident you think you're gonna predator and eat something, and sometimes you think you're gonna get eaten. What would you tell senior dental students this year, right now, who are listening to this thing in their room with their headphones on, and they got a lot of debt, and they're scared, and they graduate in 2 months? What advice would you give them?
I'd say you made the best choice. It's an incredible career you have ahead. I remember, actually, it was my favorite time. Actually, March is when I came out to Austin, and I saw there was a beautiful dental office called Floss. It looked so trendy. I literally just walked in there, introduced myself, and the owner of the company happened to be there that day. And he actually hired me on the spot. I hadn't even taken my boards yet or graduated, which I didn't think I told him at the time. But they ended up waiting for me to graduate. So be really confident and, be willing to, take a chance on things. And it's a really great career you have ahead. Also, the best time I would say is that moment when you maybe have a job. Your first job does not have to be the job that you die with. Just get something, be aware that you may think that you're applying for these jobs and you deserve the best. The reality is until, you're a couple years in, you got to take what you can get and be okay with that and learn as much as you can.
So this goes back to us being polar opposite. She went to Austin, knew she wanted something new, got a job, ready to go. I was dragging my feet. I didn't think I wanted to do anything, move. Fear just kind of got the best of me. Force yourself to jump in and just apply everywhere. Find a city, find somewhere that you want to be. Unless you want to go and work with like a Dr. Stacy Zittle. That was where I was going back and forth. I think for me, the best thing to do is just to pick a fun city, apply anywhere. That's not the job that you're going to live and die for. But also know yourself and be true to caring for patients and just being patient with yourself as well. And like giving yourself a break. The opinions and the goals that you have now are not going to be the same that you have in 5-10 years down the road. So you really just need to kind of check in with yourself and continue to grow and continue to assess and work through and to those new goals. I think that would be the best. But just go out there. It's literally the best career. I tried to get my brother to be a dentist. He's 10 years younger than me. He moved to LA trying to do the DJ thing. He did the exact opposite of what I told him. Good for him. But it's the best. It's the best life-work balance. Just put your head down, work, care for people, and it'll be really rewarding.
Now, if Joe M. Hogan, the CEO of Align Technology, called you up and said, hey, we're doing this crazy Invisalign commercial, and we want to know if we give you $1 million of Invisalign stock, Align Technology stock, would you extract your front tooth, number 8, and go the rest of your life without replacing it?
No.
For $1 million of Align Technology stock? You know you would. You just tell people you were from Houston.
Replace it.
I would let her do it.
I can never replace it.
No, you could never replace it.
I can't put anything there.
Mm-mm.
We actually have a patient, so when they check in for their new patient appointment, you have to take a photo of yourself. And we made her this beautiful front temp number 8 crown while her implant was healing, and she never put it in. And so her new patient appointment is just her missing her tooth.
But how much money would I have to give you to pull number 8 and never replace it?
I don't know. I just think of Hangover, the movie. I think,
I would. I do maybe like a number 24.
I'm talking about you two right now, number 8, front tooth.
I think
What's
it would
your
ruin
price?
our career. So unless you're able to pay for all of my future endeavors.
That's $100 million I'm in.
But see, that's my point. That's my point. When people say we spend too much money in healthcare, I don't see any evidence of that, because every time I see someone with a sick baby and I say your baby's gonna die, would you save it if it costs your house, your car, your son? Everybody gives everything. They will not pull their front tooth. I remember when the Berlin Wall fell and Poland's economy was in chaos. I was in there lecturing, and they were all telling me, "Oh, you don't understand. They're not going to pay for their own tooth because they grew up with free dentistry." And I said, okay, so let's, who wants to pull their front tooth right now? I'll give you $1,000 cash. We're in a dental school. Let's go to the oral surgery department. And I told them they could even replace it. I was just going to pull their front tooth for $1,000 after the Berlin Wall fell and didn't get one taker in a room that was, half women dentists. So dentistry, only 5% of Americans will see a chiropractor this year. Every single person on earth will see a dentist in their lifetime. They won't lose their front tooth. The reason Align Technology is so powerful is because no one sees your third molars, second molars, first molars. I mean, when these cosmetic dentists start telling me why they need to do Empress on a first molar instead of zirconia, I'm like, dude, I'm a dentist talking to you, and I still haven't even seen a bicuspid. So I don't care if you make it purple and cement it with a gummy bear. They just see the front teeth, and they want whiter, brighter, sexier teeth because they want to look as pretty as a peacock as they go through society, attracting a mate and replacing themselves with offspring. So it is a golden career. And I don't know. I mean, and by the way, every dentist who's worried about how much student loans they have, I can't wait to see the smile on their face when they get their divorce bill, because it'll be at least 3 times more than their dental student loans.
There's worse things to happen. That's nothing.
Oh my God.
It's that. Do not worry about it.
Definitely don't base any decision off your student loans.
It's a part of you.
It's a part of the process. You've invested in yourself.
And funny how if you grew up in a third world country, you wouldn't have access to other people's money for a student loan, a housing mortgage, a card payment. That's why when you go around the world, every single house is only partially constructed, because they can't go borrow other people's money, build a brand new house, and pay it back over 30 years. They do the opposite. They slowly build it over 30 years.
How lucky are we that we have this opportunity?
And congratulations on moving to Texas. You are after my amazing Taylor Marie Ferran and my daughter-in-law Janelle. I'm going to make you the Bobbsey twins, number 3 and 4, as the most awesome girls of Texas. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and I can't wait to see you on the cover of Dentaltown.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
excited.
we're
Thank
so
you. Stay
excited.
safe, doing craziness. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, have a great day.
Thanks,
You
you too.
too.